Hey everyone. Okay, so it's been great being here so far and listening to people's talks. It's truly inspiring. And thanks for having me here. So, what I do is I'm a creative director and I make websites in a nutshell. But I've always been interested in the internet as a place for creativity and creative expression. So I've been thinking about this medium for a long time, and I'd just like to say a few things before I show you some of the work. The way that I see the internet is primarily defined by content made by human activity and human desire. So in a nutshell, if you take content out of the internet, what do you have left? And I think the progress of the internet in the last 25 years has primarily been defined by the ways in which we engage and input this content. So the trillions of images and data nodes that are accessible to us, for me, I see that as paint. And I see websites and apps as canvases and galleries. And if you think about a creative creates. There's the infamous blank page and blank canvas. And in that capacity, I don't really see myself as a creator. What I do is I manipulate and hijack and twist other people's content to create new narratives and ideas. Sorry, you can tell I'm a little bit nervous, but I should be able to get over it. Okay, so, I mean, the internet means different things for different people, and the way that it's kind of becoming is it's becoming a mirror or a reflection of our lives. So, you know, for me, what I think the internet is something so much more. It's this kind of, it's like a jungle, and what we're doing is we're containing ourselves within these walled gardens like Facebook, or even worse, the Daily Mail. And yeah, I mean, that's not radical beauty, that's for sure. But you know, the thing is, you know, if we could take ourselves out of these walled gardens and like literally climb out of these social networks and not forget the dystopian and utopian roots of the internet, that there's so much more out there. You know, it's a really important point, I think, that basically the internet shouldn't be a mirror. It could be so much more than a mirror. And even that it's like a vanity mirror, the way that we are, you know, reflecting our lives with these generic Instagram filters. It's kind of a bit of a sad situation. Okay, so finding is creating. I think that the search field over there, that little thing, is as powerful as the pen. It can take you to places where you've never been to before, and it can describe new worlds and you know, really sort of take you out of your box. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. I mean, this is just searching for group photo. And I really love this because it's just so full of optimism and happiness and defines a kind of a situation where people had maybe done something, maybe even something like this. And also what I like about it is just the way that Google is grouping group photos. It's like an algorithm combined with intensely human moments. But what you can do is you can translate group photo into Chinese, and then suddenly you go to Google China, and you can get a totally different aesthetic very quickly. So suddenly you're really going outside your world, and then suddenly it's a shame that you can't see it because it's a bit light. But you know, you can see a different aesthetic building already. This is another one. So just a little bit of context. Like, I'm a designer. I'm making websites for people like Mario Testino and Damien Hirst and Rankin. We've got one for Ministry of Sound coming up pretty soon. Done stuff for wallpaper. So it's all this kind of generic, general sort of service-based stuff. But I've always been very interested in sort of using the internet as almost like a canvas. And we made a blog in 2005. This is before Tumblr and Pinterest. And there was no real notion of actually using other people's images to express your own identity, the way that you see teenagers doing this with Tumblr these days. So here's another way of like searching through different aesthetics. What we did is we took the digital camera's file name conventions, so DSC _1234, and you're going to get a very, very random selection of images. And we used to use this kind of stuff to explore and find other people's images and then create exhibitions with them. This is just one other one. Again, it's a shame it's so light, but I mean, exploring aesthetics through grouping is always very interesting. Like just CEO, you suddenly start already getting this kind of unfortunate situation with a certain kind of person filling these roles. And if actually you search for CEO in other countries, it still keeps on showing the same, you know, middle-aged white guys in power suits. Just another example. The funny thing is as you go down, these search results, it actually starts becoming more multicultural, which is just twisted, I think. But in a way, you can really see how Google is also reflecting our lives and the reality of the world, but in its own weird algorithms. So this is as found. This is just an image showing you the contributors that we had on board. It was myself and a friend of mine, Thomas Eberwein, who started it. And what we wanted to do is celebrate the banal and the unsyndicated bastard image. So these images that we showcase on the site were never on blogs. And if they were on blogs, we wouldn't show them on the site. So we're really looking for untapped beauty. Here's just a small selection of some of the exhibitions we created. I'm going to show you some of them now. Okay, again, it's a bit of a shame it's so dark, but basically, this one was done by a girl called Julia Grostidi, and it's called Caesar's Daughter. And if you go through these images, you'll find that they look just as random as anything else you see. But, okay, so you won't be able to see it, but basically all these images are tied by the fact that in each of them, the name Julia appears. So she obsessively, for many weeks or many months, actually looked for images that just said Julia. So it starts becoming almost a bit kind of odd and creepy. But, yeah. Well, you can see Julia over there at least, but each of these images has Julia somewhere inside it. You can see a bit more of you. I'm going to be doing this a lot. Okay, one more. Okay. All right, so here's something by Oliver Larrick. He's an artist based in Berlin. I think he's Austrian, actually. And what he did is he went to Scientology.org and stripped all the images outside of the site. And what he did is he put this almost like in a shell of a HTML page. And what you can start doing is actually exploring what Scientology thinks it looks like in the most brutal way. So there's no design over here. And this is something I like exploring, this lack of design and using content as the design or the form. It looks terrible, right? This is maybe not radical beauty, but it is kind of radical. Here's just what is the angle of sold out? I don't know. But it's interesting, when you put them together, you start getting something kind of humorous, I think. So it's kind of strange because what I do is I make websites, and every single time I do talks, there's always kind of an issue with showing websites. So that's why I'm having to do this so much, just to... Oh, okay, so Anonymous. Anonymous is done by Ewout Boonstra, Dutch creative director. And over here, he's just simply exploring the aesthetic of anonymizing images, often on dating sites. And you have various ways. It's either cut out, or it's just brutally scratched out, or it's sort of badly photoshopped. Just, you know, head beheaded. My personal favorite is this one over here, where some guys they basically flash their face out in front of a mirror. But it's interesting, when you combine these images, you kind of create a new narrative and a new story. And these images, they were never meant to be displayed or exhibited. And you got to remember, this is like, say, 2005, 2008. I don't think by that time Tumblr maybe had just started, but it was kind of, we didn't know anyone else was really doing this. And in fact, the people who wanted to do this were the contributors I showed earlier. This one's interesting. Let me, shoot, I wanted to actually read this to you, but it's kind of blurry. This was made, oh, okay, let me see if I can do this. Nope. So, okay. There was the earthquake in Haiti, and I happened to stumble across a dating site for Haitians. And there was a lot of coverage about Haitians, and all you saw was suffering and devastation. And what we wanted to do, we saw these images that were so beautiful. And it shows Haitians by their own means and by their own self-perception. And there were so many of them, and they were so beautiful, and they were also so unusual, because the thing is the unfortunate thing about the internet, I think it's something like 33% of the world's online, but the majority of these people are Western, they're people like us, and we have a certain kind of look just by that. And I would really love, in the next decade or so, for the whole world to be online with like super fast broadband connections, so we can see more of this beautiful world we live in. And these photos, I find they're very touching, and you know, they're obviously not done by smartphones. They're sort of maybe taken they've been photographed by amateurs, maybe in a mall or something, and then they've had to scan them. Sometimes they scan badly. There's maybe a lack of technological ability, but I think that makes it so beautiful for me. A lot of slides. Oh, okay. So this is something different. Coming back to Instagram. I mean, I actually use Instagram. I don't use Facebook that much, but I do like sharing my life. But what I wanted to do, so this is it's an app that basically allows you to make double exposures. But if you have a bunch of photos on your phone, all you have to do is shake, and then you can create new objects or new content with your own content, and you can create new surprises with images that you've already taken. So it's kind of short-circuiting the system, and I thought it was just a very nice way that all you have to do is shake your phone in order to create something new with your own stuff. These are all pictures from LA. I was there last week. It was absolutely amazing. Okay.
What's the app called?
Golf Rap Tales of Us. Okay, so I can show you the next one. Okay, so we made the app, the site for Golf Rap. There might be audio on here, by the way, but maybe we could turn it down. Okay. So here again, like I'm using other people's content to create something new. I'm not actually creating something from a blank page. What we have here is the users of the app, they can submit their double exposures to the website, and then we would curate the best ones and put them on there. So what you have is actually two different people's double exposures. So it's almost like this multi-layering of other people's content. People can generate circles or discs, which kind of represent audio loops. It's kind of funny, I actually made these loops with Alison Golf Rap in her kitchen. It was I wasn't nervous at all. So it's just kind of, almost like this simplicity. How can I say this? As designers design, they usually create adornment. They create fluff, maybe, or, I'm kind of interested in actually breaking away all that and almost just using contents to make the form and not anything else. And this kind of, I think, does it moderately successfully. Okay, let's try something else. No? Okay. All right, so this is probably the reason why I'm here, and it's a funny thing. Again, this is, okay. Cindex is basically, it's a theme for Tumblr. So if you set up a Tumblr account, you can choose a theme to style your content. And actually, like I said, I'm not really interested in style so much. I think content should be the form. So the most brutal way you could do that is just by having almost like a digital whiteboard or a mood board, and just show the work and show it as it is. I kind of did this for myself, so I spent months in the evenings while my girlfriend was watching Mad Men. I was trying to code. I'm not actually a coder, but I hacked this. And I made this for myself. I didn't really think anyone else would want this. Maybe a couple of sort of other people like me in Shoreditch or Brooklyn or something like this. But it kind of exploded. So this is just a very small selection of other people using the theme, and you can see already what's interesting is just how varied it all is. This is just 70. So this just shows you how many people are actually using the theme now. It's like everyone from Justin Bieber fans to porn addicts to wedding photos to portfolios for other designers. People like the Chapman brothers are using the site. Grizzly Bear were using it. Just like tons of people I actually really admire and love. And I'm actually discovering other people's content through the framework that I created, which is kind of surreal. And actually, I made this thing in order to, I wanted to serve content the way I liked it. So I didn't design this for anyone, I designed this for myself. And it's kind of funny that when you stick to your guns, you actually maybe perhaps make the most successful thing you've ever managed to do. So like, it's crazy. I mean, yesterday there was 1,100 installs, and it's a great way to sort of connect with people. But it's also just interesting because so in 2005 I was exploring other people's contents and creating galleries, and now in 2014 I'm helping other people to do the same in a kind of a interesting, hopefully in the way I find interesting at least. And also, what's actually quite funny is it's free, and sometimes I just wonder if I just sold it for $1, how rich I'd be right now. But one thing is, like, everyone who uses the theme, each theme is always sort of credited. So at the bottom it says Cindex theme by Marc Kremers, and it's allowed me to extreme close-up. Yeah, you know, it's kind of just interesting how I managed to propagate my idea just through this silly thing that I thought I wanted for myself, and now, you know, just a kind of a maybe perhaps slightly egotistical results is 500,000 results on Google, which is nice. Okay, I just wanted to kind of close off with showing you 3 people. I don't actually know them, but I just love what these guys are doing. And this for me is like, maybe not radical beauty. Well, I think it is. For me, it's radical beauty because it takes me out of my comfort zone, and it just seems so alien and so trippy, you know? Again, it's a shame you can't see it, but... So what this guy's doing, he's looking for a source, and his source, I believe it's called Tobio Media, or it's actually Tobio. Maybe if somebody knows what, I think it's a Chinese commerce store, something like an eBay, but for commercial enterprise, so not for individuals. And you just get the strangest things that I just couldn't make up. And that's what excites me, is like, again, the blank canvas. You know, as an artist or a creative, you make something up from scratch. But like, I don't think I could possibly make this up from scratch. I highly recommend you check it out. It's to bio-media.tumblr. If you want to get your mind blown. Okay, this is not radical beauty, but this is, I find interesting. And like, you know, you might think, what the hell is this guy doing? He's like maybe laughing at unattractive people or something like this. But actually, what this guy did is he got the photos, the high-resolution photos of all the candidates in Finland who were basically supporting, not supporting, but they were actually applying to be mayor in a right-wing capacity. So in a way, what he's doing is he's mocking them. And I think it's interesting how, whoops, does it go next? Oh, okay, can we go back a bit? Sorry. I think it's interesting that, like, actually doing this simple thing, I mean, basically curating other people's images, which I think, like, in a way, I think curation is an act of creation, can actually be political. I think this guy's made a point, and actually has got a lot of press as well. And it's also quite funny when you make a theme or you make a design like this and you give it to everyone, you don't know what people are going to do with it. So it's kind of quite weird as a designer to give something to the world and just hope for the best. I mean, what I do when I make these sites for the luxury and fashion industry, I spend 4 months working my ass off on these sites, and then after 5 years they get replaced, and that's it. Whereas when you make a theme or a product rather than a service, you get to do so much more with your capacity as a designer. This is something that's not using the Cindex theme, but it's a shame you can't see it. But this guy, all he's doing is he's curating mirrors from Craigslist. And it's just such a strange aesthetic. It's so unintentional and so wild, I think. Okay, so just to close off, what I'd like to say is to hijack Sartre's quote, I'd like to say radical beauty is other people, and you know, get out of the walled garden and enter the jungle. Thank you.